Hey everyone, it's Niki Shelton with Keeping It Real, and I'm here with Kerri. Hi Kerri, how are you doing?
Good. It's good to be back. I feel like it's been a few weeks.
It has been. So we're going to be talking about strategies for selling your home because this is the time to put your home on the market. A lot of people are doing it. So we're going to talk strategies today. So stay tuned because we're going to check it out in just a second.
Awesome.
So, how have you been? It's been
Good.
we had to take a couple of weeks off, everyone, because I was actually traveling across the country from Nebraska back to Washington, back to my home state. I'm going to be going back and forth to help real estate customers both places. So that's where I was last week. And the week before that, Kerri was traveling. So we decided just to kind of family stuff going on and kind of taking a break and just getting reorganized and coming back to ready to go, right?
Yes. Fresh and new.
Yes. And that's kind of what we have to do. Good words to choose. That's kind of what we have to do with when we're getting ready to strategically plan to put your house on the market. Because a lot of people just think you just kind of throw it on and there's not really a game plan. But you really do need to have a game plan, don't you think?
Most definitely.
Okay. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about selling strategies. And there's about 5 of them, 6 of them that are really important for doing this. So let's go ahead and dive right in. You ready, Kerri?
I am ready because there are a few things on there that I'm really excited to go into more depth about. So
yes, exactly. So the first one is pricing. And a lot of people just say, like you get your comps and then you put a price on the home and, or the seller chooses a price and, it's kind of a mix. I mean, you really kind of have to talk. I mean, obviously it's the seller's choice on what they can do, but there's different kind of plans for doing each one. And as you can see here, there's kind of 3 of them. So there's the ceiling pricing. And, this, in my opinion, would be really good for like a really high-end listing, something maybe that, you're a historical or a celebrity or somebody like that who they're really going to have to hold out because, you know what I mean? But it has you can't compare it to the house next door because there's not a house next door like it. It's a very unique property. And, it's finding those buyers that come around, and they're not like a dime a dozen. There's like, a few. And so it's really kind of, pricing it realistically, but, maybe at the top of the bracket rather than right, anywhere else. The second one is your competitive pricing. This is kind of your middle, this is like, okay, the house next door sold for this. Mine might have a couple of a few less features. And so we're going to price it kind of within that same area within this kind of parameters of what those would look like. And hopefully you have more than one comp. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you really, there's one or two. I mean, this market's been kind of crazy in the last couple of years because there hasn't been that much inventory. So there hasn't been a lot of homes to compare them to sometimes, which gets, a little tricky. And then you can always go and get an appraiser's opinion too if you can't come up with a really good solid one. But typically with, kind of like your middle of the range houses, there's other ones out there that are very similar in the area, in your neighborhoods that maybe have sold for a similar price. And it's usually within about 6 months. And so that pricing is kind of where you set your stuff up. I am so sorry. I forgot to turn that off today. Okay.
I was just muting mine. We were on the call. That's why I was reaching.
Sorry about that. Anyway, hey, and that's why we're keeping it real, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. And then the last one really is your what they call auction negotiating pricing. And this is where, you really kind of maybe going a little bit undervalue, because what you want to do is you really want to try to get, everybody going, oh, it's a great deal. And then eventually what will happen, hopefully, is that it will drive the price up past maybe where you might have started at or where you would have like hoped to get at. So it's kind of like really kind of creating this frenzy of this buying frenzy for this property that, people will bid up on it.
I think that the difference between the two or between the 3, like I believe that a lot of people have an emotional attachment to their home. So they think it's priced way higher than it really should be. And when you start slashing prices, people are going to start to wonder what's wrong with the home and why has it been on the market for so long? If you go on the lower end or more competitive, you're more likely to sell it faster from my viewpoint as a lender than it would be for pricing it overly priced and then having to come down in price. Because like I said, most people get the idea that there's something wrong with the house.
Right. And especially right now with this market, I mean, and that's the other kind of other side of it that, the brokers will kind of bring into is, with the market being what it is right now, those higher listings, that ones that are priced kind of towards the top of their market, they're not getting the traction because they're going to look at next door and go, oh, I can get this one. It's almost the same and it's a better value. So I'm just going to go with this one.
Yes.
I mean, again, it's different kind than that unicorn property, I think, but for the most part, exactly what she said, with the market being what it is, really right now, I'd be pricing it, right kind of in the middle, or maybe a little bit on the lower side, just to get the extra traction and get the people in. So absolutely with what's going on in the market right now. Thank you, Kerri.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And that one is, should you do updates?
This is a favorite topic for me because everybody thinks you have to just like get it picture perfect, model home ready.
No.
And then
I'm one of those brokers who'll say, I mean, like, it's different. If you're going to live in this house for, 10, 15 years and you want to update it because you've been there for another 10 years before that, and it's time to do that stuff. Absolutely. It's worth your return on your investment to do that. If you're going to do the kitchen because you've hated your kitchen for years and you're planning on being there for a couple more years and you want to enjoy the kitchen, definitely redo the kitchen. If you're doing the kitchen to sell a house, I would say probably not. But I do think there are some things that you can do to really make, the house shine. Don't you agree?
Most definitely. And you put that on there. Maybe just putting some paint on the walls could just help freshen the look of the house and not make it look dingy. Some people, I actually just did an open house with somebody, and the house was on the market before the walls were painted like rust orange and all these really dark colors in a home that was really beautiful, and it just did not sell. So someone new came in, relisted it, had painted the entire inside of the home with either white or neutral colors, had the home staged because before it had this really heavy furniture in it. And all of a sudden, I can't even believe the amount of people that came through this open house because it was right on the Hood Canal, beautiful views of the Olympic Mountains and the water. And so many people loved it because of the landscaping, but it was really the dark colors and the heavy furniture that were making people just say, I can't see myself in this house.
Absolutely. And the thing is a lot of people do like color. And I've had clients who, love color. And it's like, it is such a it makes it a lot harder to appease to the masses. And that's really what your job is when you're promoting your home, is you really want it to to go for the numbers, because you want the people there to do that.
And I think an important part that you had put in there is people definitely want to come in and put their own stamp on it. So why would you spend extra money on things that, you don't need to necessarily do? Because most people will come in and be like, ooh, I didn't really like that, so I'm going to change it anyway. So let them spend the money.
Right. And exactly. If you did that kitchen, let's say, and, you decided to, I don't know, add a whole bunch of cabinets or something because it's something you wanted, and they might want to take out the wall. So yeah. And the other thing you don't forget about too is curb appeal, because that is such a huge thing, because that's what the first thing people see when they come up. And so, I think if I was going to invest the money, it would be in the fresh paint and just getting the lawn and stuff, so it's the most inviting and the front door looks beautiful and everything like that. That's where I'd probably spend my money.
Most definitely.
Okay. The next one is repairs. Okay. So let's talk about repairs a little bit. So, if you have like a leaking roof, if you've got plumbing that's not right, if you have, electrical issues, those are kind of like safety issues. And yes, take care of those. Please take care of those repairs, because it's so important. Don't you agree, Kerri?
Most definitely, yes.
And then what about like some of the smaller ones? If you're going to do a home inspection, pretty much everyone's going to do a home inspection, and the home inspector's job is going to be finding all the things wrong with your house. And they always find the caulking. They always find, I don't know. Or
They're going to
fix
look under
that
the
stuff.
soffits. So if you make sure that there's no rotting wood in your soffits, they're going to look at the foundation. And if you have a crawl space, they want to make sure that there's no moisture in the crawl space. So definitely have an inspector come over, have it pre-inspected, and that way you can fix the things
I
that you
don't agree
know.
with that one, Kerri.
You don't? Okay.
No, there are times when that's a good thing. I mean, like a lot of people say, yes, you can do a pre-inspection, and then like what you want to fix, I'm not going to fix the rest of it. Like you might go in and say, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not doing the rest. And so it gives the seller a little bit of control that way as far as what they want to do. The other side of it where I kind of disagree though is because then if you didn't know some of that stuff, then now you do know it. So if, for instance, that buyer decides, you know what, the roof's leaking and I just don't want to deal with it, and they walk, then you're back on the market again, and and now not only about the roof, but that there's a leaky faucet that you got to fix, and there's this and there's that, and whatever. Not to say you should. I mean, not again, fix the stuff
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't know if I'd want to know necessarily everything wrong with my house. And a lot of times you get two different inspectors who will say sometimes two different things, like, oh, this is an issue, and it's not. So I think it really depends on the house and the person and what their comfort level and what the seller wants to do for that one.
That's really good information, because a lot of times people do have a pre-inspection done, and it makes it so that nobody has to do their own inspection, and it saves the buyer some money. But you're right. It could, that's a valid point, is that it could point out some things that might not even be valid for the sale of the home. So,
and now it's a material fact that you have to disclose whether you believe that person's right or not. So anyway, don't necessarily, I'm not saying avoid or do anything wrong. I'm not saying that. But
there's
I am saying there
are
different rule or different things about knowing and not knowing material facts. And you definitely have to divulge those facts. So if you have that information, you have to release that. So, okay. Also, again, just kind of just like, don't have broken windows and stuff. It looks bad. I mean, cracked windows and stuff, it's not cool. So go ahead and get those fixed and stuff and make sure that it looks nice. Okay, some other items to getting your house ready is depersonalizing. And, sometimes, Kerri, it's like you walk into somebody's house, though, and it's like they'll have, I don't know, like, I'm just going to use African, like they went to Africa and they brought back a bunch of stuff, and it kind of goes with their vibe of their house. And, they've been living there for a while, and it kind of just feels right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like, that's kind of cool. I mean, I suppose, again, it'd be like the colors were good, turn people off. I mean, but, sometimes it could be like, oh, it's kind of, it's kind of like a cool feel to this. I mean, I'm not talking about over, but I'm just talking about some things here or something. So some of the personalization.
We spoke about it before, where you just want people to imagine themselves in that space. So less is more. If you
Absolutely.
have less blank walls, or, have the walls as blank as possible, maybe have one piece of art, then they can come in and visualize what they want to do in that space.
Right.
Especially with furniture too. They want to visualize maybe their furniture in there. So having furniture just so they can get scale is good, but overdoing it, not always good.
Oh yeah. And also about furniture, make sure you have enough for like at least 3 people to walk through without stumbling over furniture, because then it seems crowded. You don't want to do that either. But like sometimes you'll walk into people's homes and they'll have like their kids up or their grandkids pictures up and stuff like this. Think about this, because when you're putting your home on the market, you're going to get it photographed, which we're going to talk about in just a second, or have videography done on it, and so there's videos out of it. Your kids are going to be posted all over the internet, or your dogs, and maybe you don't want everybody to know you've got, a big German Shepherd that's going to eat them if they come over.
Or my cute little puppies that people would want to steal.
Oh yes, for that too, either one. So, it's just some of those things. I think it's just better to take them down and really, less, like Kerri said, less is more. Just make it comfortable, make it inviting, but try to get the personal stuff out. Okay. The next one is staging. I don't know. I'm kind of the weird person here on some of those times, because a couple months ago, or not months ago, but a year ago, things were selling so fast. People would ask, should I stage it? And I was like, why? It's going to be gone in a week or less. You know what I mean? It's like, don't even bother. I think the times are a little bit different, and there, it does help to stage and to make the home feel inviting and kind of, I think it's also kind of knowing who your audience, who would move into your house, that you kind of have to keep in mind. I mean, is it going to be a professional couple? Is it going to be, a single person who's going to be just commuting and using it as a crash pad? Is it going to be a family? Is it going to be some, whatever, just somebody really like a hobbyist or something and they need lots of space? And I think it's really important to kind of identify who that audience is, and then make sure the stager's kind of doing it, to hit the masses again, but to also kind of really showcase some certain areas that really pull out that. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It's once again going back to that minimalistic, where yes, you can see that for scale that furniture fits in the room, but you want to envision your own items there.
Absolutely. And then the other thing with staging now too, and I don't know how aware you are that because you're not really doing that part of it like I do, but they actually have virtual staging now. Did you know?
I've heard about that. You can just go on the app and it's just going to show you what it looks like with furniture in it.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm actually going to, I think, do one of my next listings coming up with the virtual staging. And, I mean, at least it gives you, like, most people when they start shopping, they're looking online at pictures. And that's kind of really what they're doing, is they're looking at the pictures and going, oh, I really like this house. And then they walk in, and I think it's kind of, I think it's kind of cool to have it there where you can kind of go, oh yeah, this totally works. I like the vibe of the house, and the furniture would fit here, and it, and kind of gives you your own thing too, but still to have some ideas maybe before you walk in, kind of what it would look like, So I don't know. You've got a couple options. I think the photography staging is a little bit less than the regular staging, but I do think it's nice to walk into homes that are completely staged, like somebody's living there, but they're not, and it's really clean, and you don't have, kids. And so, not that I don't like kids, but for selling a home, it's kind of different. So anyway, okay. And then photography. I'm on a couple different brokers groups, Kerri, and sometimes somebody posts a picture. Oh my God. And I mean, it's, and I've totally done my own pictures where I have, I've used my camera. I went out taking the pictures. I've edited them. I've done that. I may not be the best photographer in the world, but the pictures were light and bright, and I got it. If I couldn't get the shot, then I would definitely go hire somebody else to do it. And obviously I try to use a professional photographer for most cases as much as possible. Just sometimes it makes sense for some person and some other people it doesn't. But I've seen some though that it'll have, like, I don't know, toilet paper hanging on the toilet, or the dogs hanging on the background.
Or you're taking a picture and your reflections in the picture. I've seen that yes. in a mirror or in a reflection of a window. So,
or they're crazy dark or crazy blurry, where it's just like you can't even like what am I looking at? Or it's like it's not even. Or a picture of, or one of my favorites is like a picture of a picture or something that's in the house. It's like, are you selling the picture or are you selling the house? I mean, I see some of this on the high-end ones too, that it's like it'll take a picture of something like furniture or something that it really doesn't show the home. So, honestly, in my opinion, I think it should be professional if at all possible. Really have some, have somebody who knows what they're doing. I mean, it's worth the money to spend doing that, to get somebody who's light and, make sure that natural light's coming in and really highlighting the features of the home.
Because I'm sure angle. I'm sure angle has a lot to do with it too, and perspective of where you take the picture. Because I've heard people step into a house and say, "This looks nothing like it did online."
Yeah,
this room looks much smaller than the way that they made it look online. Or wow, this is much bigger because the angle of the room they took it from was just showing a portion of it. So you definitely want somebody that has an eye for what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And I also think it's important to. I mean, I know a lot of people prior to this were buying online. I mean, without even seeing it sight unseen. And, like you said, sometimes what the picture shows and sometimes what you get are two different things when you're there. So yeah, be careful with that one. Okay. Videos. God, I love videos. They're so much fun. And, I think it's a great way to really showcase the house. I mean, whether you're getting a professional video done and, where you have kind of like you're doing a home tour and walking through it with with your real estate professional, or whether it's, somebody just kind of doing like, I do those, like I love doing those, just the open houses and kind of walking through and talking about the little nooks and crannies and stuff as I'm there, because, I think it's kind of cool to show some things, or showing them maybe the smaller things that the bigger video, like a professional video, would just kind of blur past or whatever. I kind of like doing some of that stuff. So however the videos are, I think those are super important to get them out. And I think it does. It helps people really see the home for what it is, to get a feel for it. And it kind of makes you feel like you're there. So,
well, it gives you a flow. You get to see how everything's set up, because you often look at pictures and you say, well, is it on the right side of the house or the left side of the house? How do I get there? Yeah. That's where I want to look at the whole floor plan and see where things are.
Yes. And having a floor plan included also is very helpful. Especially, sometimes a smaller home, like, like your regular little ramblers, like the 1,500 square foot kind of homes, you kind of know after you went to one or two of them what it looks like. But if you're getting some of the bigger homes and stuff like that, I think it's super important. All right. And then we have our final one for today. Let's see what we got here. Timing. This is probably the biggest one. When do you put the house on the market? When's the best time?
They say springtime, because everything looks better in the spring. Things are starting to grow, and it's not, here it can be gray. It just was last week, and finally we got a nice day today, but that doesn't happen all the time in Washington, does it?
No, I'm so excited for this weekend. But, and then winter, that's when they say you have your serious shoppers. This shoppers that are like, they're not going to be out there looking in a cold and rain for nothing. They want to find a house and get it over and done with. So you have more serious shoppers usually during the winter. But, honestly, I think the best time to do it is when you need to, or when it makes sense for you. And really only you're going to know that as a seller. Like, this is the time it needs to on the market, because I need to do this. So,
right.
So anyway, I don't have anything else for y'all today.
No, that was a really good one.
It's very, very good to be back. I can't wait to keep talking about the market, and we're going on and going to talk about all kinds of cool things. There's some new stuff coming up in real estate that we've been just hearing about, and I'm going to do some more research on. Hopefully we'll talk about that here soon. But anyway, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you hit that like, subscribe, or follow button, and we'll see you next time.
Just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there too. It's happening on Sunday.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day.